Good afternoon. I decided to make a video about how I make my bread since I've had several people ask me what I do. So I will walk you through what I do, but I will also post the original recipe below in the comments. So let's get started. The first thing that I will show you is how to, or what you need to make the bread. This bread recipe is very simple. You only need 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of yeast, and a cup and a half of hot water. Now, the ingredients that I just shared and the amount is actually a little bit different than the recipe that is located in the comments below. But this, what I'm going to show you is the 2-hour version of making the bread. The recipe in the comments below is the 12 to 24 hour version of how to make the bread. You will also need either a ceramic Dutch oven or an oven safe pan with a lid. I prefer to use a glass bowl because the saran wrap that you have to cover it with sticks better to the glass because I do not have the press and seal kind. And then I just use the regular saran wrap. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 3 cups of flour, and this is an actual 1.5 cup measuring cup, so I'm only going to do 2 of these. So I dip it in the flour, and then I use a knife to kind of flatten it to get the right amount. So there's 1. There's 2. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of the active yeast. One, 2. Now I've had the sink on, allowing the warm water to flow, so I'm going to run over there and get a cup and a half of water real quick. And I'm just going to pour it in there like that. And then I'm going to mix it all together. And I try not to over mix it. I just try to mix it enough to where there's not a lot of dry ingredient left. Okay, so it's mostly in there. This stuff gets really sticky really quickly. My hands were washed prior to starting this process also. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to cover this bowl with saran wrap very tightly. So what I do is I get it so that it starts clinging to the bowl, and then literally pull it as tight as it will go. So what I'm going to do now is set the timer for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and then while the dough rises, and then I will walk you through the next steps. Okay, so for this next part, what we are going to do is we are going to preheat the oven to 450 degrees. And we are going to put the whatever pot you're going to be making the bread in into the oven. And that needs to preheat for about 20 or 30 minutes. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to spray this parchment paper just with a little spray so that the dough doesn't stick. Again, the dough is extremely sticky, so be prepared. As you can see, the dough has risen quite a bit from where we left off. So I'm just gonna throw that away. And what you want to do is you want to put some flour down on the counter so that it doesn't stick to the counter. And I'm pretty generous with the amount of flour I put down because you are gonna roll this and kind of knead it a little bit. I will also put flour on my hands as I get ready to get the dough out of the bowl. Okay. All right. And then what I'll do is I will get it so that it's all covered in the flour and just kind of knead it a little bit. Get a little bit of the air out. Still really, really sticky. And then what I do is I just kind of roll it under a little bit, and I'm going to set it on the parchment paper that I have sprayed. And I'm going to let this kind of rise while the oven is preheating. I usually let the oven preheat for 20 to 30 minutes. And once it is preheated for that long, we will go ahead and put the bread dough into the pan. Good. So now the oven has been preheating for about 25 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put this in the pan, but first I'm gonna grab some kitchen scissors and we're just gonna like snip an X in the bread dough here. And I'm not 100% sure why they do that, other than the fact that maybe it allows more even cooking on the inside. What? So I'm going to now put this in the pan. So what I'm gonna do is slide this out, remove the lid, set this in the pan and just kind of push the paper out of the way there and put the lid on, slide it back in, and the first round is going to cook for 30 minutes. And then once the first round is done, I will take the lid off and we will bake it for an additional 8 minutes. Okay, so it has been 30 minutes, and what we're gonna do is we are going to take the lid of the pan off, and that's what it looks like so far. And we are actually going to bake it for 8 more minutes with the lid off. And once that's done, I will come back. Okay, so the 8 minutes is done, and now I'm gonna take the bread out of the oven. And I'm gonna put it on this rack so that it can cool off. I usually let it cool off for about 20 minutes. My mom likes to cut off a slice of the really hot bread and eat it, but anyway, so So this is my first video. If you have any questions or anything like that, please comment below and I'd be happy to answer them. I've been making this bread recipe since January and we have not purchased any store-bought bread since then. So I'd like to give a shout out to Grayson. He has been my video guy while I've been recording this. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you can enjoy some yummy bread soon.